finals that they're going to crash out in groups. And for Astralis and Luminosity, they both went out in groups in Malmo, their last big international. Yeah, I know DreamHack Austin just happened, but that wasn't international. That was North American based. Their last big international land. So both those teams are like do or die situations in a lot of ways. I mean, there's going to be a lot of criticism about both. And I think Astralis is definitely on the back foot. This game coming into it, I think equally is hard to call. It is going to be Cobblestone, which G2 on train looked excellent earlier, and Optic didn't convince me as much, but you never know. I mean, the way things have been going have been absolutely unpredictable.
Well, we are going into the match now, and the combat's already starting. Rush picking up the first frag of the match there. Body's going to be able to peek back out and find one of his own there, and RPK holding things just outside of the fountain. He's going to look for more, but unfortunately, exposes himself, and Stanislaw and Mix, as they get two good amounts of control of the site, we've been also picking up 2 frags. It's left to Smiths in the 1v3 here. But not a whole lot of ground to work with. Just gave himself away. Outside of the drop room now. Going to move himself out. Just looking for anything he can grab, but not a whole lot. He's only got 18 shots left here. 3 HP. He'll get shut down by Mixwell, and it'll be Optic that starts things off here with a pistol round victory.
Yeah, this is one of the things I'm really looking forward to in this game is seeing if Mixwell can start to arrive. I know you mentioned it on the desk this morning as well, though. When he was playing in SIVO, he wasn't great. But if you go back to ESL Barcelona when he was still with G-Bots, I actually thought he was quite impressive in a lot of ways. So I want to see some consistency from him. And Nafly this morning looked awesome in their first game. He has to continue. This is a game, again, where everyone needs to show up. We know that, all right, Scream was off. Everyone else was on, including Smiths earlier on train. He actually won the duel against Falling considerable amount of times on the CT side. Winning that pistol, really, really big for Optic, though, because you mentioned it as well on the desk. Back to, look at you and your good points, Blue. But being able to not necessarily outright beat anyone, but winning the economic battle is going to make the job much easier for them.
Doing that on the T side is going to be a nice, good start. G2, though, they've done something interesting. They've gone for the sort of second-round raid boss buy by giving RPK the MP9 with armor behind it. So he's going to be able to roll with that. Big risk being taken in that regard. So now they have to hope it pays off by Broken, and it's not at all. Mixwell gets the mid-air jumping headshot onto RPK, shutting him down. Mixwell looking for some more picks up. He's going to find it after Body does find a trade kill against Naf. Beyond that, leaves just 2 alive here for G2, and they're completely out of the mix as far as their positioning is concerned. Shock is way inside a drop room, hoping to surprise somebody dropping down from Optic's side, but he's not going to find it, and Smiths is still way out on the A site.
Yeah, so well held and well sold. SMG's up, 3 kills for Mixwell, big money made, but question is, next round they can afford to do it again. If they end up getting more successful kills on these SMGs, how much do they hold them? Because we know Cobblestone, much like Dust 2, Henry and I have the joke, the Jaden round, but that bonus round where you keep the SMGs up, this is a much longer, bigger map with more angles, so the rifles are definitely more viable in so many situations. I'd almost like to see Naf just potentially get dropped over an SMG so he can build up his economy and buy some armor and let someone like Mixwell right now just grab a second rifle so they already have it into the next round. And Naf's actually just going to stay on the pistols, so I'm a bit... I think I would have done that a little bit differently to build up the economy, but either way, if they win the round, who am I to criticize?
Well, going into things now, we'll see the players from G2 still going for the usual stack. Not going to be trying to take a big risk on anything just as of yet here by going for like the risk stack or something. As of course, just saving up for the first gun round on round number 4. Optic, though, still taking things slowly as you'd expect. Don't want to run into any sort of cheeky positioning coming out from those CTs that would cost them guns. Shoxy, though, good timing, though, on this push forward. Almost catches Mix off guard. Bit of an awkward moment there as well. Outside of the door, behind drop, as he's thrown down to 1 HP, and he wants to get the heck out of there because now he's going to play things a bit more cautiously so as not to give that gun to the hands of somebody from G2's side of the zone. And the rest of these guys now just placing themselves all around the spots of the map, but of course, going to fall hard on the B rotate. Now that we do actually see the take from Optic coming in. There's Body finishing off Rush, taking him down. Dapso trades that out, now finding a second kill. Optic are getting pretty quick control of things. RPK finding one more pickup, but with Smiths being the last man left alive, he was going for a flank. I'm guessing they would be able to see this coming, but if not, with Naf and Mixwell are very low, so if he can get the edge on one of them, he may yet have a chance to throw this round in his team's favor.
And Mixwell actually can't afford to peek right now, and if he does, he has to go with a teammate. That's the AK. They need to hold that into the next round. Very good shot from Nafly to keep out all of them alive. But keeping that AK is very, very crucial, again, because that way they don't need to overinvest and bring out more guns. They will go straight to the rifle. This is the right call. They've all gone for the head armor as well, negligible in this situation, although they have gone for the M4s immediately and silenced at that. Smiths, though, this is one of the issues. He's going for the glass cannon super early, but there's no AWP out on this terrorist side. So full reinvestment. Mixwell 7,600 did very well to build up, but again, they could have thrown over a rifle sooner and potentially dropped that on AWP in an easier fashion here.
Smith's also moving forward there too. Back over, going to hold the long A angle for the time being. Watching for there to be any presence inside of the mid connector, but not going to find it. In the meantime, we do have also the close-up positions being held by G2 inside a drop room, and Shock's going to go for the counter boost. That was a perfect flash, but thankfully the T's thrown a molly, so it's going to stop that boost from happening, prevent a whole lot of kills from going in the favor. There's Rush, though, with a great peek going outside of drop. He takes down Shocks, but then Scream rolls right back in.
That's a huge
shuts down Mixwell to find the trade.
Huge kill for Scream as well, because if the RPK goes down to 11 plus the opening pick and they concede that much ground toward the drop room, it just opens up the map entirely for Optic to play with that early in the round as well. So really, really good fight for Scream to repeak that. Gets away with it. And now they can start to slow things down and spread out a little bit more in this defense. It still favors Optic heavily, but they haven't baited out too much utility yet. Unfortunately, there's just a single Molotov left on their side as well for G2, so they've still got a lot of work to do to try and get a read on this Optic side.
And Optic right now slowly just shifting themselves out towards the platform push. Still have Stanislaw alive to go for the drop play, but G2, they've had to do a 2-2 split because they don't know if Optic had fallen back as of yet or not. 2
Molotovs as well, Rush and Nafly, and they could use one easily to clear out Body, who's going to play this chicken coop position, but they need to be aware that that's a very commonly played spot, especially when you're down a man, you're trying to catch them off. So this wall of smoke is fine. They don't cover off the backside of the statue, but there it is. Body goes for the peek. They now know he's here, but no Molotov used just yet. They're still going to take this fight. He can time this peek. This is going to work out perfectly for Body, and that fly goes down. That's a big misplay. No utility used upon it, and now Rush is going to fall. Body stays alive and gets 3 kills for his trouble.
And with that, G2 now get themselves onto the board here. 1 and 3. Still a little bit of a road to climb, but at the very least, this is going to throw Optic's money down big time, forcing them to go for the full rebuy now heading into this round. But with all that money they stacked up in the anti-ecos, no trouble going for it, at least for the time being. They're going to get right back into the mix as far as the buy-ups are concerned, only having to downgrade NAF really to a Tech 9.
And even to go back to that, they had to turn their attention back toward the door because they didn't have that smoke toward the statue. So there was no one to isolate them and let them focus just on Body. So it was just worst case scenario in terms of utility for Optic and the way they chose to utilize them. Tech 9 for Nafly. Remember, he went down really early in the second round as well and reinvested onto his CZ. He never really got his economy built back up. And again, this is where I would like to see Mixwell be able to drop out and then them both build back in, because it would have been a little bit more consistent for them this far along. But still with guns up, we have to talk about this 3-1 setting. If they can actually win against G2 here, they could go 5-1, 6-1 quite easily with the economy reset on the CT side.
Really on Optic, trying to actually check for RPK up in that boosted position a little bit early on. Stan not going to spot him just as of yet, but flashing through, could catch him, and he does get him completely flashed. Unfortunately, there's no follow-up from Stanislaw. Not going to want to take the risk on a peek just as of yet, so holds back. The molly comes out to force a player in the corner outside of position. Finally, RPK just fires off, and then destacks himself from up top there. Not going to be able to find anything really. Gets a little bit of damage on the Stanislaw, but nothing significant. What they do find, though, this is going to be a take over towards the A-bomb side, and that's going to prompt some early rotations over here.
And I mean, this is actually a really good read considering for G2. Rush though, oh, this is big, slipping up, no idea. Flash goes in, good kill, but he's weakened up considerably, and now he's last alive, 1 versus 3. Shoxy has to know he's here. Where's the call? Why is Shox still looking toward the top of middle? They know Rush pushed through. Smith should be able to find him here though. Does hit the shot. That was actually good for G2 to get that read. Optic kind of overcommitted because they actually baited out all of but 1 smoke before 1 minute and 20 seconds, and they actually could have slowed that down a lot further. But G2 had already rotated over by the time they committed.
So it ends up being a messy attempt at a take there from Optic, and doesn't really end up faring so well for those guys. So this is going to throw them into the save. Upgraded armor coming in for Mixwell, but for the most part, it's just going to be P250s and Tech 9s with a couple scattered flashbangs and a smoke sitting on DAP. It's pretty straightforward, looking like it's going to be a B hit. A couple players watching towards the middle, then grouping up later on when they actually go for the take attempt. Bit of miscommunication there at the beginning of the round as well, both a molly and a smoke. And the CTs are tossed back up over here, where it's currently blocking them off from accessing platform, so a bit's going to be wasted there, but the grand scheme of things should not affect all that much. So long as the SMG position from Scream holds strong here, it should still be pretty easily dismantled when they try to go for this all-in hit.
He's super segregated from his team though. Body's just gone back there, putting a lot more attention onto the drop room because of the smoke that was at the top of it. So Scream's actually being quite daring in this situation. It does pay off though. 3 kills as they walk through, all on the MP9, and that's big money for him. And another round that's going to go the way of G2. They'll knot this on 3 very quickly. But if he'd gone down, he was the only one on that platform position. In fact, both players toward drop weren't in a position to refrag on that, so they could have actually given up a plant quite quickly, which would have been huge for Optic. They'll get the buy here anyway, but it's going to be AKs, and they could have had an AWP out with the plant. That said, they haven't looked like they've wanted to run the AWP aggressively on this T side yet, which is something we're definitely going to have to keep an eye on.
For now, it looks like Optic just going for the default setup. Two of them on the outside with Daps watching for an aggressive push outside long A. Three more sort of sitting themselves back outside of B to watch for drop pressure, along with any pushes that may come back over towards the platform. Just waiting out the usual smokes and mollies right now as the CTs tosses out to prevent a rush in the event. Optic wanted to try and go for one now to mix things up here on another gun round, since they have those back into their possession now. But it's going to be Body that takes the more aggressive positioning now, closer up to the area on the platform itself. No support nearby, but they do have Scream sitting behind the tree here, which is going to sort of act as the trade if need be when Body peeks out. So good setup here, and it's actually going to be a very rough attempt if Optic don't manage to get control of drop before they end up going in here. But thankfully they've got some good focus on that as well.
They need Stan to sell this on A, though. If they're going to try and run this just onto drop with no pressure out toward platform as well, they need to hold these rotations off. And a single smoke out in middle gives Stan a bit of time to do that, but Optic's just waiting to play with this. They're kind of flirting with the suggestion.
They've used a lot of the utility early for the CTs here, though. Look, they don't really have a lot of all that much, but RPK, he's going to be able to take down the player back towards the A-bomb site. That's Stanislaw getting eliminated. And now they just have to hope that they can find these entries heading into the B-bomb site.
This is so passive from G2, though, because they find that kill on A, but they're still considering it. They have no idea they're already down inside drop. They've gone very passive on it, but now Scream down on top of the site. This has to be Optic. They take Body as well at Chicken Coop. Shox is still there. He'll manage one back, but that needs to be traded. And as soon as it is, bomb plant down, Optic's in a great position to take the round.
We're still going to see RPK starting to rotate back over, though. He moves himself, trying to move himself anyway up through drop, hoping to find somebody through that door, but it's not going to be the case. And in the meantime, Smith's looking to light at the flank. RPK's found the first pick up on a rush, but they don't expect the player to be back up on the platform there. So Nav shuts down Smith, and now it all falls to RPK. He's just going to call off the save, however. He's still got the rifle, a kit, head armor, and a decent amount of utility. So falling away from that one, he's going to give it up and hand this round over to Optic. And in all honesty, I mean, G2, the big problem for there is that they just use all their B-set utilities so early in the round. They can't hold back that take from Optic despite how slow it was.
And I don't like that positioning from G2 at all. If you're going to be that passive toward both platform and drop, you need to do something on the A side to get more information. Everyone was passive, and by the time the hit came in, they had no time to react. If they had, I mean, even put Smiths closer to the top of the ramp so he can swing in a faster position toward connector, get a second player onto that B site so they can get someone further out toward statue, push RPK up toward long. He's quite good at actually pushing. This is one of his better maps, in my opinion, for RPK. So they need to do something to gain information if they're going to be that passive on a key choke point as well at drop. I mean, they just walked in there. They sat in there for almost 30 seconds without even being detected.
And now the guys from G2 are going to go for the double op setup as well, coming off of the losing round there. That's going to basically destroy all their money. Body's going to be picking up the second one. We still have Scream, Shox, and RPK that are rolling with M4s. And now also Naf, interestingly enough, not Mixwell, picking up the op for the side of Optic.
This isn't actually that odd for Naf. Way back in the Denial days before they got picked up by Team Liquid, he was the second operative to Shazam, and he was actually quite proficient with the weapons. So this is kind of a blast from the past from Nafly in a lot of ways. We have a black screen to cast off of blue. This is interesting.
Yeah.
The observers have apparently blacked out due to the fact that Nafly is AWPing.
So now, as we take a look at things here, from the side of Optic, they are trying to sneak themselves out towards long A, but we also have a bit of aggression maybe posturing up here in the form of Shox, trying to shift themselves over there towards the long doors. But for the time being with Optic and how passive they seem to be playing things in general here, we would not expect them to be counted out. And there's going to be RPK actually catching the first kill. Shuts down Daps when he tries to go for the peek outside of the mid connector. It's going to take him down. Now the rotations start to come into the A-bomb site. We're going to see that first shot connecting from Smith. Shox picking up another one, but there is decent trades coming out. Down to a 2-on-3, and they still have a player in the B-bomb site. The problem, though, is they've lost the bomb stream, getting hit by a pop flash, but there's just no response coming out from Naf. And with Scream finally taking Naf down, that'll be the end of the round. G2 strike right back and keep things tied at 4 rounds to each team.
Not sure I agree with picking up the third op for the sake of it, but they're going to run a triple op setup on the CT side, which double op, sure, works great on Cobblestone. Triple op, I'm not a big fan of. I'm interested to see how they utilize these. Definitely one out toward long A. Try and hold that down, and maybe even a second one that sorts Body, Smiths, and Shox. I was going to say maybe a second one that goes down toward lower mid. It's actually going to be 2 out toward A, so there you go. They're going to do exactly that. Shox will hold that toward statue. Smiths holds the long position, but as soon as they get run down, if they even elect to go A, that's such a hard retreat to try and get them back all the way inside the site. If they can detect that there's 2 there, they'll just push them as fast as possible. Meanwhile, Body has the third one way over toward B, which I'm not opposed to that at the Chicken Coop.
So again, Optic just with the default setup. And now, after not finding anything over there towards the A site, either outside of the connector or the aggressive push towards long A, They're just going to groove up with their teammates and try to go for the all-in push towards B. Same thing that we saw in the last round when they had to downgrade themselves to pistols. So nothing too far disconcerted from what we've already seen from these guys. Going for that early drop control first. Very important area with those pistols. You can get that. You can get a lot of easier access to the site, but it's just not going well at all. G2 just ripping it apart, unfortunately.
And super important as well that these rifles are so successful. Grid kills from both of them, because if they go down and the retake has to come in, right now, even with just, obviously this round's secure, but if they'd gone with just RPK, if they'd found one kill in the entry and he's the only FAMAS, the retake with AWPs is extremely hard. So that was a crucial round for the two rifle players inside of the B site.
Also dangerous that you still roll with these. Thankfully, Optic are not going to be in a gun round as of yet, so it's still to a certain degree makes sense. But in the event you're on a gun round and there's going to be a couple trades, if Optic end up winning that there, then they're going to get their ops set up basically for free guarantee now. Because with 3 ops, even if 2 of them die completely disconnected from the main battle, there's still a chance you're going to find at least one of them at the end of the round.
Yeah, the setup they're running is pretty much the only way you can do it. But here, this is where they're going to get an A-rush. And even with these pistols, if they don't find shots, I mean, Shock's missing here. Smiths has not found an angle yet because he's had to retreat away from long quickly. Thankfully, Shock's finds 2. But I mean, if this was rifles right now, there'd be a huge... Okay, RPK, dead. Shox just decides he wants to shoot everyone in panic at this point. But leave that third op down, please, by all means. Thank you. Now get the rifle back up.
I think he came out A main and scared him a little bit because he was still peeking back down towards mid connector. So when he crossed in front of him, he didn't realize it. Bit of a mistake.
Accidental shootings, don't worry. In Korea, we saw, I think, close to 25 team kills throughout the weekend, so...
Is that an accurate...
I want someone to do... I think it was around 15 by my count, but...
That's still, a lot.
Yep, it was pretty crazy. There was about 2.5 a game on average. Good shot from Body over top of the smoke, catching out Nafly. Huge first pick for them to get, and Smiths follows it up. So both AWPs again in this round, very aggressive, and Smiths was actually on the platform out toward B. This takes the rifles out of the hands early from Optic, and this is a big, big win from G2 because, once again, even though it's a 3-round spread of bonus with no plant, they're going to have to save into the next one, maybe force up Tech 9s, but that's the best case scenario right now for Optic.
So still trying to line up and get themselves access into the A-bomb site, mainly through long, but Body's already seen this coming. Gets a timing shot after being flashed. Nicely played. Shuts down Mixwell. And now Daps trying to push himself outside of the mid-connector. That doesn't go very well. Rush at least finds 1 kill in the alleyway. They're lined up, but he's not able to pick up either of them. As RPK is going to take down Rush, and the Ops so far dominating the CT side for G2 ever since they've gotten them in hand.
And Optic are going to go toward the Tech 9s, but they need to find... I'd almost go fast B at this point. Try and get down drop. Drop was the best chance they had it around, especially that one where they did win, where they got down drop really late, and G2 were a little bit too passive. The problem is on A, they're getting very aggressive, and they're actually going to go corner boost this time for RPK. So here you go, yeah. They're going to run toward B a lot quicker, try and beat them inside of the site and get a bomb down, but good Molotov out from Body, and he gets 2 on the way through on top of the damage from the nade. Shox will follow that. They may not even get that far. Nafly is sure to go down. He may find 1 kill in this best case as they push onto him. There it is, 1 and done.
Very quickly, Body's going to get a nice 4K out of that one. Eco from Optic. And now, going into this next round, we'll see the buy-up coming in. Off as of yet on Mixwell. It is going to be an option, but no, still going to be sticking with the AK. Despite this, though, looks like he's still leading the way for his team at this point. 11-9. So coming hot still off of their last game when they took that victory over Astralis. Unfortunately, the rest of his team hasn't really shown up as strong as of yet, as they go right back to that default that we've already seen quite a few times from them.
Body's getting an auto sniper as well. Smiths, though, they're switching this up, goes aggressive on the platform. Body hasn't been willing to take that peek, so they haven't seen that over toward B, because this is where a lot of their default's been setting up. But now that they are getting more aggressive and G2's getting rolling, there hasn't even been time for a default. They haven't slowed this down at all. They haven't tried to establish a map control at all on the Optic side. They're going to get smokes out on toward the site now, finally. But Smiths has really good position on the statue already. Scream's boosted up. He'll be able to see above most of them. That's a big kill, though, for Rush.
And now Rush moving in, now finding a second one. Good amount of control of the site moving in. That auto sniper, though, in the hand of Body. We'll see what kind of damage that can do. None, apparently, because now it's going to shut that down. Gets a close-up encounter with Shox, which he's going to win. And now as he presses forward, looking for more, but can't find the lock-on a Rush, so he's going to find the trade. Moving out, it's all on RPK. He's got a good angle, walks right into the back of Rush to take him out of the picture. But now he's going to find the other two. He's got no clue. Just gave away his position. So it's all about Optic just trying to line up this final 1v2 here. Daps is getting encroached upon pretty quickly, but thankfully Stanislav finds him out in the open and takes him down without too much trouble.
Good recovery, really fast execution. It works out, and the entry kills from both Rush and Nafly were solid, but again, I'd like to see them slow things down a little bit more off the start. That's also a full reset against them at this point in time, so they're keeping 2 alive. is going to hurt them, as opposed to even that third player that did go down toward the platform that when Rush got caught, flanked out. So 1,600 is the best case for Mixwell. I mean, this is another must-win situation. 5 rounds T-side, Cobblestone. All right, it's reasonable, but it's not great, especially against a team like G2. And here we go again. This is, again, the exact aggression we're talking about. They're starting to really change things up, and Optic's doing nothing to punish them for that. I'd like to see a more passive default where they try and just wait things out, bait out all the utility, and catch that aggression from G2.
And Naf is just forced out of the platform area completely, even the area leading up to it. He's got to wait for the reinforcements to come back in from middle. And G2, given no reason to evacuate closer to the A-bomb site as yet, everybody's just going to be sticking around in their own positions to wait for the impending hit. Optic, it's been pretty straightforward on the C side so far. Not really been seeing a lot of A hits, and when we have, they've been handled or scouted out early enough to where G2 can either rotate or shut it down on their own. This time, though, we are going to see Shock start to rotate over, but it is to add some extra pressure towards drops, since Optic seem to be going for it quite a bit. And he could line up an early flank to stop the hit from being so successful.
Aggressive play from Body on his own, but he just crosses back over. Thankfully, it doesn't repeak. Statue it's going to be for him. Scream in this same position has to watch the drop because they've gone passive. Drops the bomb, drops Japs as well, but finally goes down to the hands of Stanislaw. It's Nafly, though, that needs to hold the better shots and stand with 2. Suddenly, Naf turns the round. Once more, it's RPK left alive versus 2. Bomb still down and drop. Scream will have made that call, but good counter boost from Optic. Oh. It's a tag, though. It's just through the edge of the concrete, and Stan's able to follow it up. Very, very good round from Stan.
Stanislaw again coming into this one. Like we talked about before, it had mainly been a Rush and Mixwell in the big online matches leading up to Sivoland and to a certain degree after that as well for this team. But now some of the other guys are starting to play pretty well. Naf in that last game, and now Stan making some big plays here in this game against G2. They're bouncing it back and heading into the final round of the half. They have a possibility of being just 1 round behind them as they jump over onto their CT side.
Fast rush. Even with the guns up toward this A side, RPK was out toward long, but they're going to try and rotate. No smoke out, just barely gets there in time because Shoxy was coming through that doorway. Instead, he goes toward the vent. He's saved by RPK, and that's going to give him position. It's just a slaughter. So again, Optic just playing really hasty Counter-Strike, and it's not at all working out. They don't get a read at all. Walk in, telegraph their play, and RPK, when he was out toward danger, would have heard them coming to make the call. Gave Smith all kinds of time to get in position. A huge kill from RPK as well to let Shox work through that vent, because if he can't get through, they smoke him off and they're able to wrap around onto RPK, then the site's gone. But important kill, 9-6 half for G2.
So with that, that'll be the end of the half here. Still remaining very close for Optic, but jumping onto the CT side. It's actually going to take a big, real stride to bounce these guys back into this game. As G2 were looking very solid. That off pressure was phenomenal. And Optic, unless they can build up their economy very early on, they're not going to be able to provide anything like that. So we'll have to wait and see as we get into that second half pretty shortly.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a whole different game now that we switch over, but Optic's really going to have to make sure they're concentrated and controlled, not so aggressive and hasty.
back once again, ladies and gentlemen, here at the ESL Pro League Finals. The first day here from the Leicester Studios in the UK. It's G2 versus Optic. Both of these teams having quite large upsets in their first matches. G2 beating out Luminosity, and Optic, the biggest one, beating out Astralis. And now as we enter the second half of this map, G2 leads the way 9-6 to be the first out of their group.
Yeah, I just to go back to the Astralis win, part of that in Optic side was a lot of one duels, and right now they've got some decent killing potential. Again, it's Nafly that leads the way, and Mixwell's in there as well, but Daps only has 2 and 12, and that becomes an issue when you swap over to the CT side. It's one thing if you're not getting the entry kills, if you're not in situations where you're clutching it out, that's fine. As long as someone's stepping up on the T side, you can create space and create openings. Now that you're on CT, everyone has to contribute. So we'll have to keep an eye on Daps. Mixwell in this pistol round is going to be the only one to go out toward long, find information. Daps sits for an early rotation, but a slowed play as well from G2, because Smiths is waiting to see if Mix is going to pop out, and he actually might rotate. He might push all the way out here. If Smiths catches him off, this would cause a huge rotation from G2 back toward the A site.
There we go. Smith's going to be able to pick up the frag on a Mixwell. Starting things off well for G2, but not causing any big shift as of yet from the side of Optic, as they are still expecting a B hit. And they might be right to do so, judging from the current positions of G2's players. Starting to line up mainly towards drop right now, as it would appear. Possibly going to try to overwhelm the defenses inside of here and then just swarm out onto the site from the transition room. As now they get ready to go for the push inside of here, but still waiting on time a little bit just to draw further rotations closer to the A-bomb site. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Rush holds to the first kill, but he uses the whole clip for it. Nap peeking up, finds a second one, trying to throw the nade. A little bit far out there, not really going to do all that much damage. He's now down to 10 HP, but peeking out, finishes off another player before being traded out by Smiths. Down to 2, but it's an even 2-on-2, and this is about time for Daps to rotate over from the other side. But now he needs to come out big because we haven't seen a whole lot of them. Meantime, G2 are pushed back inside, but there's going to be Body picking up another kill on a Stanislaw, leaving Daps alone now. Had some lackluster performance up to this point. It's his time to shine, but it's not going to be here. Smiths jumping takes down Daps mid-jump, and that is going to be G2, keeping their lead strong at the beginning of the second half.
And I think Smiths was actually considering the possibility of getting either reboosted or wrapping back through the flower pop. Once they got the kill at Chicken Coop, that was huge because that allowed them to slow things down. If they couldn't flush him out of that position, they had to get out of the B site or at least find Daps first. So it was perfect timing for them to pick up that first kill in the 2v2 situation. And again, Mixwell got caught really early. Couldn't do much in the rotation. If he even had stayed alive a little bit longer, if Smiths hadn't found him to start things off, then easily would have been a favorable rotation. Forced back already, they go to the SMGs as well. The 1 AK for Smiths, who's just going to hold these angles while they try and get in close positions with these SMGs to clear everything out.
The thing with Daps, too, is we already saw a problem like this earlier on when we had Slummy really sort of leading down at the bottom of the scoreboard as well for C9. It became a big problem as it was essentially Stewie that had to solo hold the B bomb site for the entire half there. There was only one time where he was able to really battle really well, and it was literally one round. Beyond that, every single 1v1 that Slummy took, he ended up losing. And that's definitely going to become a much bigger problem on the CT side here for Optic Gaming, as we can already see, starting to pick up some kills, but there's Daps finding at least one grab there, taking down Body, but after that, Scream, Shocks, Daps finds a second, but then Scream and RPK do close things out pretty quickly for the second round of this half.
And yeah, now they get the AK moving forward, they're going to go back. SMG, Smiths. Trying to get how to play the long game here, so Smiths can get out of the AWP sooner. Instead of giving him an SMG to allow him to build up economy, they've given the AK. Either way, it's just pistols to go against. Optic gonna have to be complacent with the force buy and P250s, but no armor bought up around that because they want to try and save something for that third round. Stack out toward long. Body and Smiths need to clear this, and Rush is gonna try and distract them and pull them in, but Body finds them brilliantly over top of the wooden plank out toward Bales. That'll give them a lot of courage to push out here, and they only get one refrag. Very simple round. Body didn't do, or excuse me, Rush didn't do enough to pull them away to let that crossfire position work. He really had to pull them into that position to try and get them to chase and distract.
And so with that, we'll jump into the first gun round here, with Optic now investing. Again, no op this early on, unfortunately. Not going to be able to go for that just as yet, not wanting to take the risk on it. Just usual M4 investments with the utility sitting behind it now. Good amount of utility, though, could stop a direct hit from G2. And that's looking like it's what we're going to have. Very early setup to get these guys out on the platform pretty quickly. 4 of them already progressing towards it.
It's going to be Stan that's close to this platform as well. But he's going to get caught immediately. No trade potential. Naf wasn't in position. Better follow-up. Smiths with 2 on entry. Optic caught scurrying late, not getting a lot of information and setting up a direct default for trades. Big problem, and a smoke on that drop room as well is going to hold Rush out. This will buy so much more time. Body's also going to grab that M4 that goes down, so it's a free upgrade from the SMG. RPK is in a really good position as well at this tree with the Mac 10.
Optic as well, they're just stuck inside a drop room. No way to get outside of it, not even really attempting to find another way. RPK nicely done with that timing. Chases Mixwell inside as he hears him running away. And now Daps will try to save, but RPK, I don't think he saw him go inside that little hallway there. It looks like he spotted him now. And he's going to be chased all around. They do not want to let him save this rifle. They're going for the crushing victory here. Picks up one, but Smiths will... All right, Smiths. Smiths will trade that back out and shut things down pretty quickly.
I mean, one of the issues when you get caught in that situation where both players go down so easily on entry and it's not tradable is that they were able to save 2 smokes for the post plant, and we saw how effective that was. Immediately one in drop and the other one on doors. There was nothing they could do to get back into the site. I mean, that's a full 15 seconds that you're effectively locked out, and we already know the economy's bad. The kit's non-existent. It's round over almost at that point unless you man up and just pull off a miracle play, which obviously you can't rely on.
So Optic, still at the beginning of this half here, just struggling to build up their economy, let alone keep it stable. And as for G2, they're only a few rounds away from closing out this match, and that would send Optic to a best of 3 against either LG or Astralis. You do good against them in a best of 1, but your odds of beating them out in a best of 3 are going to be very, very tough. Thankfully, they'll have a little while to prepare for it if it ends up coming down to that. This round, though, very, very straightforward. G2 just crushing things pretty quickly. Almost a team ace as well. Scream will grab that final one.
Daps does pick up 2. Picks up an SMG as well, so he'll start to eventually get a bit of money for his troubles. But, I mean, call it what it's worth. Unless G2 goes full liquid right now, this one's done. What does that mean? Blue. Was it too soon?
That's well memed.
The money's out of control as well for G2, considering we just started this half. We're 5 rounds in, and they've hardly gotten any frags back. Nafly sat on 10 kills at half. Mixwell's been on 11 since half. There's really been nothing.
So now here for G2, looking very, very good as they look strong to actually progress themselves just out of the group stages entirely and onwards to London.
Good pick that time by Daps out toward long, but he needs to be wary not to overextend here. Stanislaw is watching down toward middle, so Daps knows danger's cleared. He can fall back to at least that position. But they need to make sure not to overextend. This is where discipline's going to save them, because if they even get caught out in one careless peek, if Mixwell makes one silly move on that platform out toward B, they give away that lead, and G2's going to capitalize. You guarantee it. Daps needs to get out of here now. Giving away that position is very smart. Good job from Daps, because he's already done the damage. There's no need to commit.
So backing up away from that, that's actually going to be one of the first times I think this half where Optic do get the early advantage here. Or at least it doesn't happen at a point where G2 can immediately just go out for a site take and try to trade it. But another thing too is that Optic have been very passive about the way they're controlling drops. So it's essentially wide open. Shox is going to be able to go right inside. No pressure at all going against him. Nobody even going to check to make sure there was a player that dropped inside of it. So he's ready to go for the site take. Just about lining his other teammates up. And that's not going to be too big of an issue without there really being any pressure. Push outside of A. However, Mixwell gets aggressive. Thankfully, Scream will be there to quickly trade that back and shut him down after he finds that first kill against Body.
Shox, crossfire set, but found by Scream first. Pops out, gets Rush. Really good setup on the entry. And that lead that they had, it's been gone because they just got picked apart at the B site again. No utility used correctly, nothing to trade.
And that's where that drop control becomes a problem too. Because of the fact that Shox was just allowed to drop right in there. The player over by Rock probably wouldn't have been punished so quickly had they had someone getting that intel out early enough. But Scream and Shox is going to pick up those final 2 kills. And that's almost GG right there now. G2 is 1 more round away from closing this out. Optic are going to force, but look at how pitiful this is now. Most players not even going to be able to get rifles in their hands. Rush has to go down to a shotgun. Another player picking one up as well. And then we have another guy sitting on an SMG.
Oddly enough, the one person that we pointed out that had to do better on the CT side was Daps. He started this half on 2 kills. He's up to 9.
I think he found a couple trades on like the problem is he's found like 4 or 5 kills.
There was 2 saves.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, but even in the most part, you get the opening pick last round. It was like it's something to build on. Problem is that no one's really fragging. Finally, Mixwell's gets one, but he has to fall out of this now. They have to go passive on the A site, and Rush is going to be underneath this. Where's the shot on the body? Good spray down. Good jump up as well. Good call on the tags.
It's actually quite comical. Body tries to play that off. I didn't get tagged, and then well the jump, and they find out where he is. He's a dead man.
Mix does try and face this, but even the positioning, Smiths goes down. There's the reface. RPK was underneath him. They were already going in behind him. Scream was there. Straightforward from G2. 1 round only for Optic on their CT side.